Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. So we have three big stories we need to break, or that I need to break, all kind of pertaining to New Mexico. Well, one of them isn't. It's kind of national, but it's related to one of our awesome national senators, he's a representative now, Martin Heinrich. So the Safer Communities Act bill, let's start with the first one, is being forced to the floor. And with this is a magazine ban that they're trying to push through. Now, the odds of it passing the House right now is pretty slim. But this being election season, the real reason why it's being pushed is to say, hey, we tried to do something, but it was because of those damn Republicans, those MAGA guys. So that it gives the voter base something to rally around. Especially on that side of the aisle. I personally think it's political suicide in this day and age, considering that over 60% of the American population now, 62%, is actually known to be carrying guns or having guns. The second story is one that is really infuriating, especially from New Mexico, is that our Attorney General was forced, I don't know if he's forced. He signed onto a bill that is national in scope, where they're talking about basically what they did is they're petitioning Lake City Manufacturing. These are the guys that make 5.56, 223 for civilian markets, okay, and the military. So they're pressuring these guys, and they're trying to get a national ban or a national law that says that the 5.56 is military use only. And they're pressuring these manufacturers, specifically Lake City Manufacturing. I keep getting them confused with an armory, but they're not. Lake City Manufacturing, to not sell to the civilian market. Now, what's interesting is the bill is set up to where our tax dollars are still forcing them, allowing them to purchase ammunition for the military, but none is supposed to make it to the civilian market. Now, what bothers me the most about this is the public-private partnership stuff coming to highlight again. If you've listened to Glenn Black, you've listened to other podcasters, they realize that using the legal system and using the government is not how they're going to get stuff done, because we have enough of a say still that it pushes them out of the contention of getting their law passed, especially when it comes to guns. We don't have a universal assault weapons ban in the United States because it's just not palpable to the American voter. What they're trying to do here is go with the private partners, the private manufacturers, and say, hey, we're not going to allow you to do this sale to American citizens. What's interesting is that anyone else, retired law enforcement in general, anyone else who would oppose American citizens from standing up and using said weapons is exempt from this. Same with the magazine ban. Now, the magazine ban that they're trying to propose, something to add to that, is that those same exemptions for law enforcement and for retired law enforcement and military are in place. So you can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get civilian disarmament in play. What really is infuriating to me, being a New Mexican, is that our Attorney General went ahead and did this. Went above and beyond. He signed on with pretty much every blue state that's out there, every Democrat stronghold, to sign on for this. Now, here's what sucks about the Attorney General, is the Attorney General is usually appointed. Not in New Mexico, I believe ours is elected, but in other states, they're appointed. So we have no real grip on them to pull them back. The Attorney General in New Mexico, we do. We definitely need to petition them, make it known, light up their phones and let them know what's going on. The third story, I'll try to keep this one a little shorter tonight because I rambled on a little bit last night about everything, is concerning about something that they're trying to push in the roundhouse. And we've seen this happen in California. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in Washington State. New Mexico is now trying to push a bill. Give me a second. Let me pull it up. House Bill 79 is a gross receipt tax, and it says deduction relating to taxation, providing a partial gross receipt tax deduction for the sale of firearms and ammunition, creating a distribution for the state's gross receipt tax to hold local governments harmless for deduction. So what this says to me is, and the language gets even more ambiguous, is that they're going to give a portion of, or they're going to make it to where municipalities can impose a gross receipt tax specifically geared towards firearms. Now, in larger cities, this is something, in larger states, I should say, in other states, this has been a thing. And with our governor's call for, New Mexico's governor specifically, call for any action that she can think of towards civilian disarmament, this I knew was going to be on their radar. I've been keeping an eye on what's going on in the legislature. There's some funny things that have come out. Permitless firearms carrying is on the ballot again, or on a proposal. Here's what I found out about New Mexico's roundhouse current count. It's 42 to 25, meaning 42 Democrats to 25 Republicans. So they're the minority in both chambers of the House, the roundhouse. So in the Senate and in the representative side. This leads that they're probably going to have the sway, or at least the votes, at least on paper, to try to get this passed, to try to get a lot of these gun things passed. Now, there's a lot of discussion right now about the surplus. There's something like $10 billion or $13 billion surplus that New Mexicans have to thank the oil and gas industry for, that our state budget is looking at what they can do to allocate it. And they're looking, those types of discussions usually will tie up most of the session because everyone wants their piece of the pie. I expect a lot of stuff going to education again. I think it's some good things that are happening there, where they're trying to tie achievement to those funds so that they are just not given out. That's kind of something that needs to be happening in New Mexico for a long time. They're trying to push electric buses. Again, not a good thing in New Mexico and rural places, especially with the heat and the cold that we have. There again, House Bill 81 is the gun storage tax credit that Stephanie Lord was going to, but it's sponsored by Andrea Reeb and Joshua Hernandez. John Block is the one that is actually doing this gross receipt tax stuff. Now, let me look at who he is. Otero County, and he is from Otero County, which means he's a Democrat. That is something we need to definitely kick this dude in the... No, he's a Republican. So this actually could be a good thing. Maybe there's a deduction that I'm just not seeing or reading it correctly. That maybe it's a deduction from state gross receipt taxes for people who are buying firearms. Maybe this guy has got it together. It's rare for a Republican in New Mexico to get into office. And when they do, they usually have very strong 2A leanings. So I will have to reread this, because I was taking it as is it was going to be a gross receipt. Anytime you introduce the government into gross receipt taxes, you can usually expect an increase. So maybe this time when he's actually saying deduction, he's meaning that they're going to deduct that, lower the gross receipt tax on firearms, ammunition, and firearms in general. That would be a major reversal, and it's an uphill battle for this gentleman to get this passed. Any of these bills, because there is already a rally scheduled for February 2nd, I believe, or February 9th. It's one of the 2 days to be in in Santa Fe, to stand up against the governor's 2A stuff she's going to try to push. Now, what I've noticed about the sessions covering this for New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union, and the reason why it started, New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union started, was to cover this stuff and try to get the word out, is that they will wait till the last minute before they start introducing this stuff. That gives time for them to figure out the budgeting stuff, and they'll roll forward, and then all of a sudden we got this stuff. So we'll see what plays out there. I'm more so concerned with the political sentiment nationwide in this regard. You're seeing increasingly new and innovative attack vectors to the 2A, specifically when they're going after private, companies to try to stop them from selling ammunition or magazines. That shows that they're trying to mess with those companies. We need to support those companies, so, it's time to buy. I don't know that you need to create another shortage, but you definitely should have your own, and cover your six on that stuff. With ammunition, it's always better to stack it deep and, have it than not have it. The problem is that when you do that, you deprive a lot of people who are less fortunate than we are from having said items for just day-to-day training when they go out and train on the weekends or when they finally do get to shoot. We don't know the world we're going into. That was the big play you need to understand from last night's podcast. We do know that we have to be forever vigilant. This is a thing that once you sign on to be a 2A member, be a fan of the 2A, you kind of always have to keep your head on a swivel because this type of sneaky stuff comes in. And we, as much as this guy is a Republican, I really don't take any stock in political party affiliation anymore because time and time again, it has let me down when it comes to the rubber meeting the road, so to speak. I hope you had a great day. Most importantly, be great. Like, share, subscribe, and again, be great.